What is up, watch friends? Welcome to another episode of Talking Time Pieces with Tony. I'm Tony, and today is part dos, of the Q&A. Sometimes I get more questions, and sometimes I get less questions, and sometimes if I feel it's too many questions for one episode, I'll break it up into two. Simple as that. And if you want to have a question featured, just answer it in the comments below. And let's roll the intro. Today I am wearing my Zenith Pilot El Primero on a green rubber strap, and love changing up the straps on this watch. It's like a total strap magnet. Multiple colors. They all work. I don't change it too often because I actually just tend to prefer the black rubber strap that it came with. It also has a brown leather strap as well that it came with that I've never even put on the watch, but I should probably do that just to see what it looks like, But having said that, let's roll the intro and we'll get into it. Thanks. All right, so first question comes from PQ19476. Yo, bro, what are your thoughts on the red Rolex OP Grape 36? Thing looks sick, but I feel it's hard to match with many outfits and try to be mindful when spending that amount of money. Would love your feedback. You're killing it. You're the man, the myth, the Tony. No, you are, dude. Yeah, I mean, unless your name's Tony, I don't know, but I appreciate that. When I hear the Grape, I automatically assume it's the 39 millimeter OP. That's what the general overall Grape thing is, I guess. But I know they made a 36 millimeter with the purple dial, and I've never seen it. And if I say I've never seen it, I may have seen it through my years of going to ADs and just never really paid attention. But purple is one of my favorite colors, and I don't own a purple dial watch. But and I also don't buy watches to color match my outfit. I'll wear whatever with whatever. I don't care, So if you're particularly wanting to spend that kind of money on a watch so you can color match outfits, then save your money and buy something more neutral, you know what I mean? Whether it be a white dial or a black dial or blue, you know what I mean? Something that'll just be more, versatile. But at the same time, I think the purple is really cool, and if you're not that, again, I don't match up. I mean, sometimes I'll have a watch and I'm like, oh, it'll look good with this shirt, and I'll put that shirt on or whatever. But for the most part, I don't do that. But if you want to do that, then I would, again, not spend the money if you're not going to be wearing it. Because if you're just having trouble finding shit to wear with it, then there's no point spending money on the watch. You know what I mean? A watch is meant to be worn and enjoyed, as much as possible anyway. But thanks for your question, dude. Good luck on your journey, or whatever you call it. This next one comes from Andrew Weller 6731. Hi, I'm very interested in your music career. Could you talk about it sometime? I've talked about it. I think I even did a video on my music career. I generally don't talk too much about it. I mean, I'll mention it. People know I'm in the music industry, or I've spent the majority of my life in the music industry. So, I'm not going to just start talking about it here, because it really sort of, to fully understand what I've done and people who I've worked with and all that stuff, there's a lot. That's a video in itself. But the thing is that, a lot of the things I did in my past, music wise, I didn't really like doing what I was doing. You know what I mean? And more specifically, some of the people I was working with, I'm pretty chill, but like when I would tour, it depends on who I was touring with, but for the most part, I hung out with the road crew. They're the ones who like to drink and have fun and just chill. They're the ones that do all the work, man. When you got some dude driving a big rig across the country with stage and gear and equipment, and they're they've got to be the first ones at the venue to set it up and the last ones to leave to tear it down. And well, guys like us get to, go on stage for an hour and play, put your guitar down, walk off stage and go back to the hotel and go to the bar or whatever. You know what I mean? I give a lot of credit to the road crew guys. Why am I talking about the road crew? But so a lot of the musicians themselves, some of them I wouldn't say I would get along with. I just don't know. Didn't really. Anyway, so sometimes I don't want to talk about it, or it's not something worth talking about. You know what I mean? But I'll figure something out. If you want to look back in my previous videos, you'll find something, I'm sure. But thanks for your question, dude. This comes from Vironi236. Going on a trip soon. How do you determine what watch to take on a trip, and do you take multiple? I usually take at least 2 options. Thanks. Depends, man. Go back to the touring thing. If I was touring, and sometimes I'd be gone 4 or 5 months, sometimes longer, sometimes less, but I would only ever bring 1 watch. I would never bring anything more than I had to bring. I'd bring a watch that would work in pretty much any scenario I was going to be in and knew that I was going to be in, and that would be it. If I was going to Hawaii and it was a vacation and not work, I'd bring a sport watch, something I could, not too much worry about. And then might bring a dress watch if I was going to a nice dinner or something. If I was like when I went to Nashville for music in October and watches, I brought the Zenith because it's just a great everyday watch. And then I brought my GMT Master 2, which I would have worn when we went into Fink's Jewelers Rolex AD, but I happened to be wearing this one that day. But for the most part, yeah, it just depends also where you're going and what you're going to be doing. You know what I mean? If you're going to be going on a hiking trip or something like that, bring a Casio and I don't know, whatever else. But you seem to figure it out. You bring 2. That's cool. Thanks for your question, dude. Benny6206. Hi, Tony. Hope you're in good health and your back is holding up. No, thanks, man. Back is acting up, but that's a whole other thing. I enjoyed the review of the OP36, but I remember last year you picked up an OP41 blue dial. That OP41 I picked up about 2 years ago. I've been into my AD and have tried on both the 36 and 41, but can't decide. How do they compare after wearing for some time? And as in the AD, you only have a limited time to compare. As once you own, then the difference may be more apparent. Any advice or comments on your observations would be great. Cheers. Well, a lot of it has to do with what size is your wrist and what's comfortable on your wrist. I mean, you're going to go into a 41. I got a 6.5-inch wrist. 41 on a Rolex, for the most part, feels a little too big for a Datejust. If it was at 39 like the OP, that's perfect size, but it's not. 36 is great, but it's more understated, which I like as well. It's not going to be in your face. I mean, if you're wearing a flute, if you're wearing the white gold fluted bezeled Jubilee bracelet, Wimbledon on a 41, it's got a lot of presence and it's going to be kind of more bam in your face. I like the 36 because it's more sort of casual and kick back. So it's up to you, man. Really, I would, take maybe a couple of photos of it, really look what's going to work for you. You know what I mean? It's like you just have to make that decision though. What size is your other watches? Do you have bigger watches? Do you have smaller watches? Because if you have larger watches, it's going to be weird wearing a 36. You have to get used to it. And if you have smaller watches and you wear a 41, you know what I mean? So it's up to you. I don't know what your collection is, but I wish you the best in your decision, dude. Thank you for your question. Joe Bolt, 88. Hope you're doing well, Tony. Thanks. How's the back? Yeah, it's struggling right now. Also, what do you think is the most overrated complication? The most overrated complication? I don't know, man. Tachymeter scale, but is that, I mean, you're using the tachymeter scale on the watch, but then you're timing it. So essentially it's not its own complication really, is it? But it's not really, it wouldn't be overrated because, people do talk about the tachymeter scale measuring distance from this point to this point. Who uses that? I doubt anybody uses that. So, when I hear people go, it's got a tachymeter scale. So what? Who uses it? Nobody. Pulsometer, a doctor's watch, it's the same sort of scenario, how to, when you're taking someone's pulse and whatever. That's pretty useless, but is it overrated? No, it's not overrated. Is a chronograph overrated? Yeah, I mean, people, I have to have a chronograph. Most people that have chronographs actually use it? Now, I know a lot of people do for certain things. I get it, dude. Some people do, and I'm gonna get comments like, I use it for everything. When I'm brushing my teeth, when I take a shower in the morning, when I drive to work, when I do this, you know what I mean? You get those people that are just obsessed. How could you say that it's overrated? A lot of people don't use it, bro. But it looks cool. So I don't know. It's hard to say. Some people would say, well, a tourbillon's really overrated because it's not really necessary in today's modern watches. You don't need a tourbillon. It's based off of gravity, you see. But then a tourbillon is not a complication. It's its own function within the watch. It's not separate or it's not as considered a complication. So I don't know, dude. Thank you for your question, though. Appreciate it. This is from Dino SPGR. How do you size your watch bracelets straps? If you have them too loose, they fall down the wrist. But if you have them too tight, they can be uncomfortable. I have mine just right, so I just might. I have come to appreciate Jubilee bracelets for being easy to keep snug without being uncomfortable, and also titanium watches because they are light and don't slide, move around when somewhat loose. I don't know, dude. This is on a rubber strap. It's tight, but it's not, gonna, make a mark on my wrist. And on bracelets, I'm on this one. I'm wearing a wrist strap on this one. With straps, just they make great straps. I actually punched another hole in between. You can't see it because I did it, and it's sort of a secret little hole. It sounded a little wrong, but when you put the let's see, where is it? See, I can't even see it unless I put the watch on. I think it's there. Yeah, it's right there. So it's in between this it's in between that hole and this hole, and it's just right. Wow. Bracelet, it depends on the bracelet. Jubilee bracelets are super comfortable, but I have the it sort of fits perfectly. It's not too loose. It's not sliding down my wrist. If I shake it a little bit, it's going to fall down my wrist a bit. But but Jubilee bracelets are awesome. So are Oyster bracelets. Extremely comfortable. More comfortable than most bracelets. So I do thank you for your question, but let's go to the next one as soon as I put this freaking thing back on. Okay, next question comes from Michael Louis 74. Beautiful watch, Tony. Love the dial. Congratulations. Thank you. Do they have good resale value? Thanks. You're talking about the Cartier. The Cartier Santos. It's a beautiful watch. Do they have good resale value? No. You will take a freaking bath if you wanted to sell that watch. So make sure when you buy a watch, you understand that you got to buy it because you love it, not for resale value. You know what I mean? You'll always get something for it, but at the same time, I've sold watches and I've taken huge hits, you know what I mean? But I'm aware of that, you know what I mean? I don't buy a watch because of its resale value, I mean, it's nice to know you have something that holds some value, of course, especially when you're spending a lot of money. But, really you have to just enjoy it, because even with, say, my GMT, my Rolex watches, they're worth something, but that market could dive, and then they're not worth hardly anything, depending on what's going to happen in the future. Who knows? You know what I mean? Or it might go up. I don't know, but I don't buy them for that reason. And I guess probably you shouldn't either. But just to make that answer long, they don't. Very few watches have hold resale. A lot of Patek Philippe's, way below retail. I'm not talking about the popular, in demand sport watches, like the Aquanaut or the Nautilus, you know what I mean? Get some of those watches that are just, Calatravas, man. I don't know. So thanks for your question, dude. This comes from Decades 373. It says the one thing I've always wondered is to what extent do watch brands under the same conglomerate operate independently? For example, if LVMH wants to raise Zenith prices, sorry, uh, is Zenith at their mercy? Furthermore, I assume uber luxury brands like Vacheron are able to operate more independently, even though they're under the Richemont umbrella. But not sure if that's correct. Do you have any insight on this? It's a good question, I guess, if you really care, but I don't know the answer to that. So I do know someone who probably does, and that I did send her a text, and that would be Zenith president, who also spent 5 or 6 years, I can't remember, working at Vacheron. But I did get a response saying she can't comment on that. So I don't know, man. I think there's a certain amount of freedom that these brands have, that they can do whatever they want. I mean, shit, dude, how jacked up would it be if one group, Richemont Group, LVMH, whatever, just micromanage the shit out of those brands? You know what I mean? And said, you can't do this, you can do this, you can't do this, you can't raise the price, we have to lower the price, whatever it may be. I'm sure they've got some freedom to do what they want to do, but I can't give you a solid 100% firm yes, no answer as to what it is. So having said that, I appreciate you guys, and I hope you have a great rest of your weekend.